Arlington Heights and Indiana, it ain't Chicago. It's not, right? And I think any discussion that would not keep Chicago whole, I think would be short-sighted. And, again, I'm going to continue to work with everyone who is willing to partner with the city of Chicago to ensure that we have a public-private infrastructure that allows us to do great work.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson yesterday talking about the prospect of the Chicago Bears going to Indiana or possibly Arlington Heights, Illinois, as you've got Indiana moving forward with a measure that would carve out some special things for the Chicago Bears. How are National Football League teams impacting taxpayers? Well, we're going to see it play out here in the land of Lincoln and also Indiana. Welcome in. It's Illinois in Focus Daily with the Center Square. Get the latest headlines in your inbox at thecentersquare.com. Sign up for the newsletter, and you can get updated daily with headlines in your inbox. But you can also wake up here with the Center Square for Illinois in Focus. And I want to remind you, we've launched a national program called the Center Square Daily. I host that and bring in reporters from all across the country to show how taxpayers are being impacted in states all up and down the map. So be sure to just tune in for that, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell and get that program here later on in the day with the Center Square. So let's go to the headlines here at thecentersquare.com. You'll see that our reporter Jim Talamonte reporting this out. Pritzker very disappointed as Bears, Indiana, move closer to a stadium deal. So we'll just touch on this here as the Indiana House, the Indiana Senate, they cleared out of the Senate Ways and Means Committee, the House Ways and Means Committee, Senate Bill 27. And the Bears, ultimately what it would do is allow for some carve-outs for them. So let's pull this up out of the Indiana General Assembly, where they've got a lot of co-sponsors. It establishes the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority for the purpose of acquiring and financing certain facilities, sets forth powers and duties of the Stadium Authority. It was introduced rather quickly, and then it was ultimately approved in committee in the House. So this Senate bill advancing at the Indiana legislature. That news was brought up during a separate news conference in Illinois with Governor J.B. Pritzker down in Collinsville, and he said that he's very disappointed with the news that Indiana is moving forward and that the Bears are considering moving to Indiana.
It was a surprise to us. The Bears actually, yesterday, we completed more than 3 hours, my team did, of discussions with the Bears. Very positive discussions, and indeed mostly agreed on a bill that would move forward this morning. But they asked us not to move forward with it this morning because they said they wanted to tweak a couple of items in the bill, which were things that we were working with them on. And so to have a statement put out by the Bears, now they're saying to us that that statement is not some confirmation that they're moving to Indiana, but rather that Indiana had asked them to say that, they're going to move forward with the negotiations in Indiana. But I have to say it's very disappointing to hear that they would put that statement out but not say anything about the advancement that's been made in the state of Illinois. But we're waiting to hear from the Bears what they'd like to do next.
What will they do next? And will Indiana be able to attract the Bears? I mean, Indiana's already attracted tens of thousands of Illinois residents to move to Indiana, as other states are attracting Illinois residents to move to their states. You look at the outbound migration of just the population, it's not people necessarily moving to just Florida or Texas. There are Illinoisans moving to Indiana, Missouri, Tennessee, even Wisconsin, in the tens of thousands over several years. So will the Bears be packing up and moving out too? Again, if Indiana's going to be carving out some things where they say they move at the pace of business, and let's go ahead and pull up the statement that Indiana's governor made. They put out a message on X. I'll pull this up for you. Governor Mike Braun saying that the Bears move possible shows that they're open for business. Our pro-growth environment continues to attract major opportunities like this partnership with the Chicago Bears. We've identified a promising site near Wolf Lake and Hammond and established a broad framework for negotiation of a final deal. If approved, the proposed amendment, Senate Bill 27, puts forward the essential framework to complete this agreement, contingent upon site due diligence proceeding smoothly. The state of Indiana moves at the speed of business, and we've demonstrated that through our quick coordination between state agencies, local government, and the legislature to set the stage for a huge win for all Hoosiers. We have built a strong relationship with the Bears organization that will serve as the foundation for a public-private partnership leading to the construction of a world-class stadium and a win for taxpayers. What that's going to look like, though, will it be infrastructure costs covered by the taxpayers? Will they try to sell that to taxpayers saying, hey, there's going to be a big economic boom for Hammond, for instance? And what would happen ultimately for the fan base? Will people still want to travel, like 30 minutes from Chicago to Hammond to watch a Bears game in person? Will the Bears have to change their name from Chicago to the Hammond Bears? Earlier this week, the issue came up before the Indiana legislature advanced that measure, carving things out for the Bears. House Minority Leader Tony McCombie in the state of Illinois, she said that if the Bears move, it's going to be embarrassing for Governor Pritzker.
It'll be interesting to see what that bill ends up looking like. I'm certainly, we've always been supportive of public and private partnerships, and I hope that Arlington and the Bears have come to an agreement. I mean, although it'd be nothing more embarrassing than having the governor have the Gary Bears. But that being said, a mega project can't be so expansive, and it certainly cannot hurt taxpayers. So I think the local control piece of it, the local agreements, I think is an important piece.
Governor J.B. Pritzker, again, being asked about this yesterday in a couple of different ways. He said he's dismayed, disappointed, surprised.
Look, I've set out some principles for what it is that the state of Illinois should do. I want to protect the taxpayers of Illinois. I've said from the start we are not going to build a stadium for them. We do infrastructure. There's a lot of infrastructure needs that they would need, both in Indiana they would need it, but here in Illinois. And also that we need to make sure that we're building into this affordability for people so that they can maybe afford to go to a game or afford to pay for things at the game. We want to make sure that we're protecting the consumers and taxpayers of the state. So those are just some of the principles that I've laid out. We have made a lot of advancement in that conversation with them. So again, I'm surprised, dismayed, very disappointed at what I saw in a statement. Again, the Bears post that have said, well, we didn't really mean that they're moving to Indiana, which is kind of the implication of it. But it's apparently not true.
You know, Jim Talamonte and I talk about this for the Illinois in Focus Weekend Edition. And if you don't get that on the weekends, either by tuning into your local radio station or getting the podcast, Jim's got some great analysis on this. So definitely be looking for that this weekend for Illinois in Focus Weekend Edition, as the conversation about the economic impacts, the conversation about what happens to the fan base, what happens to the naming of the Bears. Is Arlington Heights going to be the location? Is Hammond, Indiana going to be the location? Or, as Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says, all those other places, quote, ain't Chicago.
I will say, look, I still believe that the best place for the Chicago Bears to be is in the city of Chicago. As you know, a couple of years ago, I put forth a proposal in partnership with the Bears where they would essentially pay for 72% of the stadium that would be owned by the public. The whole goal of that interaction wasn't necessarily just for the Bears. That proposal was about, any leader of a major city or city period would work to ensure that we have public and private partnerships. And why is that important? We're talking about thousands of jobs that would go to people in Chicago. And not just to build the stadium, but thousands of jobs that would be permanent as a result of a stadium. And I've always said that there has to be a public benefit and public use to it, and that was in that proposal. And the idea of the Bears, I'm gonna just say it like this: Arlington Heights and Indiana, it ain't Chicago. It's not, right? And I think any discussion that would not keep Chicago whole, I think would be short-sighted. And again, I'm going to continue to work with everyone who is willing to partner with the city of Chicago to ensure that we have a public-private infrastructure that allows us to do great work.
A lot of eyes are going to be on this in the months ahead as the Illinois legislature continues debating some kind of measure, and Arlington Heights officials look to try to lure the Bears there, but Indiana already moving, as the governor there says, at the speed of business. Begs the question, well, what speed does Illinois run? Question posed by one of the listeners here in the live show. So greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. And we'll be watching this, all right? So be tuned into the Center Square. Get the headlines in your inbox by signing up for the newsletter. Tune in here for the Center Square, Illinois in Focus, and we'll keep you updated on all of that and so much more. It's going to be a busy couple of months ahead as we careen towards the May 31st deadline for legislative session. And the budget, of course, is going to be top of mind. Any other policies that they bring forward is going to be top of mind, but what happens with the Chicago Bears as well is going to be top of mind. All right, again, Illinois in Focus Daily with you each and every weekday morning. I'm Greg Bishop. Be sure to be back here Monday as we preview what could happen out of the U.S. Supreme Court with the prospect of the Veramontes case being taken up and so much more. So it's right here with Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop.